Hello everybody and welcome to TTTV. This is TTL F1 Season 12 round number 10, which takes us to the legendary British Grand Prix where it all started back in 1950. My name is Kieran McGinley and joining me in the commentary box is Andy Campbell. Andy, how are you tonight?
Very well, my friend. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Looking forward to an interesting night of racing. Silverstone. Obviously, you would have heard me waxing lyrical about it last night. I think the track is phenomenal. 3.6 miles. It's that big that it actually covers two counties, partially in Northamptonshire, partly in Buckinghamshire. Is just how big it is. The home of the British Grand Prix. Home of British Motor Racing hosted the first Grand Prix all the way back in 1950 as well. And with some of the famous corners, including that Maggotts Beckett's Chapel section as well. Tonight is going to be a fun night as well. We've seen a great race last night in the Esports League as well, so I am expecting more fireworks here tonight for TTL F1. So we've got a little bit of a delay here waiting on a few drivers, so we've got a bit of time to fill in and bring you up to date with everything.
Absolutely, so why not go through the driver standings then? So last time in Austria, if you missed that race, it was a fantastic four-car battle for at least 10-15 laps. It was fantastic to watch. And in the end, Lambo came out the winner to take his first win of the season. What that does to the table then, Blizzard leads the way on 156. He suffered a puncture late on in the race. Squeezy is in second on 120. Lambo boosts up to third on 91, with Poe in fourth on 74. The Gore in fifth on 68. Siege is in sixth on 53. TTG Ollie in seventh on 46. Clifford in eighth on 36. Steph in ninth on 30 points. Litinho in 10th on 29. Then it's Alan Kay in 11th on 28. Josh in 12th. Tied with Francis and Jay, all on 25 points. Then we've got Spike and Maze tied on 15th with 22 points. Sean is in 17th on 17 points. Ollie in 18th on 15 points. That's Ollie P. Frank is in 19th on 8 points. Plaster tied with him. And at the bottom of the table, at 21st place, Damien with the single point. What that means for constructors then. Force India lead the way on 197 with McLaren in second on 149. Haas in third on 142. Toro Rosso in fourth on 95. Williams in fifth on 78. Red Bull in sixth on 57. With Sauber in 7th on 50 points, Renault in 8th on 47, Ferrari in 9th on 34 points, and Mercedes in 10th on 31 points. And for a lot of the drivers then, it'll be their home Grand Prix. Andy, you must have raced at your home Grand Prix. How increase of a pressure is it to actually finish well?
It's always the one you want to do best at. Is the one closest to home. Obviously, home track for me is Knockhill, which is an absolute blast in its own right. When it comes to F1, of course, it's Silverstone. You can't imagine the British Grand Prix being anywhere else nowadays, in my opinion. And obviously, this year coming up is currently down as being the final season for it, because Silverstone put in the release clause to get out of the contract, so hopefully they can get that fixed up. But there is always that pressure. This is the one you want to do well at. Any home race is the one you want to do the best at, and you know it's probably the track that a lot of people have raced at the most as well. I would say this and probably Spa are probably two of the tracks that people would race at most of all. Personal opinion anyway, I certainly did, because they're probably two of the most famous tracks going. So there is that added pressure on there to do well, and I'm sure the drivers will be wanting to stand on top of the podium there and get the race victory at Silverstone. And even if it's not the home race, just to have a victory at Silverstone, it's such a driver's track. It's one that everybody wants to win. So finally getting the lobby going. A quick bit of housekeeping, so to speak. VSR, Francis and Litinho have qualifying bans for this due to picking up penalty points. Has now accumulated 25 penalty points within the season. That has triggered an automatic qualifying ban for tonight, so they will be on the back row of the grid no matter what happens here. We might see them go out to get an installation lap just so that the setup doesn't put them to default, but they are not allowed to set a flying lap tonight.
See, I thought it was that they weren't allowed to leave the pit lane at all. I thought that was the nature of the qualifying ban, but we'll soon find out, I guess. We have a Red Bull leaving the pits. We've got a Force India leaving as well. Who's going to leave first? Is Squeezy going to leave first? For once, he's not going to leave first. It's actually Blizzard out on track. That's a rare sight to see Squeezy leaving the pit lane second.
Definitely. So he's usually the first one out there, but Blizzard's just sneaked ahead of him, so we'll get to ride on board with the championship leader for the flying lap, unless, of course, Squeezy goes absolutely flying past him during the lap. We'll catch whoever's going to be first across the line for a lap. But yeah, Squeezy's usually first out. He's already out at least anyway, so he's still out early doors as usual. And the other one to leave the pit lane at the moment is Poe as well. So 3 cars out on track, and I believe that's the top 3 in the championship standing as well, if we just went through them, I believe. So that's definitely an interesting one to see them getting out early doors. So yeah, this could be an interesting race for sure. Hopefully, we're still waiting. I believe it's going to be a dry race. Spike is in the chat saying dry, so I'm guessing that's going to be dry for the race as well. So no need to worry about any issues. There's Litinho dropping out of the session already with a qualifying ban. The reason I thought maybe getting to do an outlap is I heard about a bit of a bug that was supposedly if you didn't go out and dropped out of qualifying straight away, it put you on a default setup. So unless they fix that, or I am just making things up, I don't know. But we're coming to the end of the lap. So Blizzard is going to be the first one to set a lap time. So we're going to ride on board with the Force India in just a moment. He's coming through the final couple of sections. This is going to be a quick lap, expecting somewhere in the mid-20s, roughly, maybe high 20s to mid-20s for a quick lap round here. So here we go, coming around the final couple of corners, into the corner with no name, and across the line. DRS is available all the way up towards Abbey Corner as well, absolutely flat out. You see Blizzard keeping it in 7th gear, just closing the DRS before the corner, through Farm Curve, and then into Village, the first part of the slow down section. Then we're into the loop here, so we cut back down to first gear briefly, then up in the second, and then we're going through Aintree Corner, which is another famous racetrack from back in the day, now more famous for the Grand National horse racing, and down the second of 3 DRS straights, the Wellington Straight into Brooklyn. It's very easy to get this wrong. If you can get it right, you can make quite a lot of time, and then into Luffield, and you just got to be patient through here. It's so easy to get impatient and get on the power too soon, it'll just drag you wide, and then back on the power, down the old start finish straight through Woodcote Corner. Now we're heading up to the fun part. First of all, Cops Corner, a little bit of a courtesy lift there from Blizzard, just to keep the nose of the car pointing into the corner, and here we go. Into Maggots, left, right, down to 7th gear, down to 6th, dab of the brakes, into Beckett's as well now, and through the final part, never lower than about 135 miles an hour through Chapel, down the hanger straight with the DRS open one more time, pull it to the left hand side. You're braking around about just before the 50 metre zone, you're dropping about 100, anywhere from 80 miles an hour, down 3 gears, and Blizzard annoys me by going in the pits, thank you mate, but that next corner would have been the club chicane, 2nd gear, 2nd slowest corner on the track after the loop, and then you go through the last 2 corners, the corner with no name, and you cross the finish line. So I'll let you start talking there. The Squeezy does a 126.7 on the soft tyres.
I think Blizzard ran a little bit wide there, and that's why he sort of abandoned his lap time, as Poe now goes top with a 126.6, and Pip Squeezy to that provisional pole so far by just a 10th of a second. That's Francis there retiring from the session with that qualifying ban, although the court though has retired on his own volition, so he's not taking any further part in qualifying. We've got Dave M in the Toro Rosso as he makes his way through Maggots and then through Beckett's here. A lovely set of corners here, really only one by one as you go through here, as Lambo sets a 127.2 as we head through the DRS. So now down the hanger straight, coming towards Stowe Corner, and back, I think it was 8.5 years ago I was at the circuit, back when it was the old layout, as Dave M comes towards the pit lane, just at Club Corner there, when it used to be halfway round the track. It's a fantastic place to watch the cars go round, as we watch Spike here go through, I believe that's Woodcote.
You're right.
Absolutely, as he heads through the old turn 1 of Cops Corner, running a little bit wide onto the AstroTurf. As you can see there, Steph set a 129.9 on those blue wall hard tyres, and it's quite rare to see those at the British Grand Prix, especially in a qualifying session. Normally you'd only see them if someone gets into a first lap mishap and decides to put the hard tyres on to go to the end of the race, but even so, as Spike was mentioning last week on Commentator's Corner, those hard tyres he's definitely going to stay away from. They take a lot of heating up to do and a lot of care to keep them in the temperature range. Spike then coming around the final few corners into the corner with no name as he heads towards the line and goes top of the table, 126.6, provisional pole position.
Yeah, decent lap time there from Spike as well. You can see obviously with the top three at the moment after their first laps, Spike, Spo and Squeezy, just over a tenth and a bit between them. Lambo about 6 tenths down, and then obviously everyone else is slower than that. Sean on medium tyres, Steph, as you say, on those blue marked hard tyres, ice cold blue because in my opinion, as you say, it takes so long to heat them up. They might just be a snow tyre for all they are. But if Steph feels he can make them work, then fair play to him. It would be an interesting call. He could probably then make it go as long as and put the softs on at the end of the race. But the optimum strategy here is either soft to medium or medium to soft. As I say, those blue tyres, it's very rare to see them. I think in the actual Grand Prix itself this year, I think we only seen them on one car. I think it was his Renault of Carlos Sainz put them on at one point, and then when the safety car came out he pitted again and got rid of them because he realised what a bad choice it was. So we will see how that one works out for Steph, but 8/1000th of a second between Spike and Paul, with Squeezy at 10th down as well. So we've seen it last night in the Esports League. I think the top 5 were covered by about a tenth of a second or something. It was absolutely ridiculous how close they were. The top 10 or 12 were only covered by about 7 tenths. So it is a track, because people do enjoy the track and do race on it quite a bit, with it being obviously a lot of people's home race. It's one of those tracks that people know well, and it's obviously a chance for them to really extract all the performance out of the car possible. Especially through the likes of Maggots, Beckett's, Stowe's a corner you can make time up. I mentioned Brooklands as well. So there's a number of places where you can make up those extra couple of attempts and just really extract all the performance out of the car and just get yourself a really, really good lap time. And if you can nail that every lap, you've got every chance of being on the podium here today. Hopefully we don't see any major incidents early doors as Blizzard comes back into the pits again. We've seen him do that a few times now in a couple of races. He goes out, tries to settle some lap times, pushes too hard possibly, gets an invalidation, and then pops a stunning lap out of nowhere on his final run. I think he done it last week, it was at France. I think it was. He was the last one over the line by about 3 seconds, and I think he popped up in the front row of the grid. So coming a bit of a theme there for him as well. We see Squeezy usually first out, Blizzard's usually leaving it to the last minute.
All common in TTL, but today Squeezy wasn't the first out. Maybe that will be some sort of bad or good omen. He's always first out, always the most eager to get out on track. Here's Mays then, coming towards Cop's corner. Turn 9 as he chucks the car in, drops down to 6th gear then, as he now makes his way towards Maggots and then through Beckett's onto Chapel. It is just, I've said it before and I'll say it again, it's a lovely flowing set of corners going through Maggots, Beckett's and then Chapel. As you'll see there, the DRS zone is placed a lot earlier than it was, I think it was last year. Last year it was placed well after the curve of Chapel. Now it's put on the curve of Chapel. So a little bit more DRS range to help with the overtaking going down towards Cop's corner. But here comes Mays then for his first timed lap, as he makes his way around the final couple of corners, going through No Name and towards the start finish line. It's a 1:27.9 and it puts him up to P4, but it's quickly beaten by Dave M, who goes P4 with a 1:26.8.
Yeah, decent lap time there from Dave M. I've got nothing to compare him off. I've never seen him race before, but that's pretty decent. Just under 2 tenths shy of Spike's pole time he's got at the moment. Only 7 drivers set a lap. Obviously 3 of them have dropped out already, but there's still 15 drivers out there capable of making a lap time. Steph has just improved up to 6th place and then straight away beaten by Alan Kay going into 6th as well. So Steph's pounding round on those blue tyres. Poe's just set a quicker lap time, 26.3, so he's now 3 times clear of Spike. Puts that one into provisional pole, knocks the Salba down into 2. But Steph is just pounding round, and we've seen him do this a few times in qualifying. Puts the hardest compound on and just goes for a number of laps back to back for a bit, although he'll be coming in now because his fuel gauge is blinking, and hopefully he can make it back to the pits without running out. But 7th place at the moment, and I'd be surprised obviously it makes the top 10 with that time, but who knows if it does. On the hard tyres, he'll struggle to get temperature, but if he can make it work, that could work out pretty well for him. You never know in this race. It is an interesting one. We've mentioned about Chapel, but Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. You mentioned obviously you'd been to the race second when it was the old layout, where instead of turn one, turn to the right through Abbey, they'd done the Abbey chicane left, right, and then to that fantastic downhill right under a bridge corner, which was absolutely brilliant. And they came back up just where the Wellington Straight comes on to Brooklands. So even in its old layout, it was an absolutely phenomenal track, and even with the upgrades and the changes, it's still absolutely brilliant to race around here. So pole on top at the moment, Spike in second, Squeezy in third, Dave in fourth, Vase in fifth place, Alan K6, Steph in seventh, Sean in eighth. They're the only drivers to have set a lap time at the moment. Blizzard's been out and tried a few times but came back in. Ollie's now out on track. Plaster's still in pit lane, and Lambo's been out a couple of times, but he's not set a lap time either, and neither out of the pits yet has come LMFC. So we're still to see a few drivers, but there's only 6.5 minutes to go. Squeezy in the chat saying his DRS wasn't working during his most recent run, so that will have cost him a good few temps. So I'd expect to see him go quicker in a later run. And Spike reconfirming it is a dry race, but it's expected to be cloudy. And if likes of Steph or anyone else thinks those hard tyres might work, cloudy conditions are not going to help them.
Yeah, absolutely. Spike also in the chat saying, can we award the points now? Well, it puts him up into P2. I'm afraid that's not how it works, Spike, but I'll talk to the guys upstairs. I'll see what they can do as we ride with Blizzard then, as we head through Luffield. As you're saying, Andy, really have to be patient on the throttle as you head on the exit of Luffield, and make sure you don't take too much curb on the left-hand side. One thing to note about the pit lane as well, I mentioned it last night, it's worth putting up again, that the pit lane here is so slow. It's one of the longest, you spend the most amount of time in this pit lane, more than anywhere else. The pit lane actually starts coming down towards turn 16, and you have to have your own braking point for the limit line. And even then, the speed limit is 60 kilometers per hour. Now, I don't know what that is in miles per hour. I think it's around about 50 or maybe even 40 odd. But it's, I'll put it this way, it's not very quick. So it's one of the slowest limited pit lanes on the calendar, meaning that it's the longest pit lane on the calendar. So you really have to time your pit lane to perfection.
Definitely so, and there's a good chance we'll see people picking up penalties. I've just done the conversion because I'm an absolute geek. As Blizzard goes into the 25s there, so there's the kind of lap time we were expecting from him. Finally hooks it up 3 times quicker than anyone else. Pit lane 37 miles an hour, and that pit lane, as you say, is so long. It is the equivalent, in my opinion, of doing a 12-hour day at work in a job that you absolutely hate. It takes that long, and because of the way the pit wall is, you feel like you're closed in as well, because you can't see the start and finish straight as you're going down pit lane. You can't see any of the cars going by until you come up the hill and rejoin at turn 2 at Farm Curve. And obviously you need to be careful because cars are coming through there doing around about 180, 190 miles an hour as well. So it's a really excruciating pit lane. I think the only one that's as slow as that is Monaco, with obvious reasons, of course. So you want to be making sure if you're doing the pit stop, it is absolutely spot on. I've just noticed Spike actually put it in there. It was 37 miles an hour. He done the calculation for me, and I didn't even need to. But there you go. But Blizzard on pole position, so the championship leader in provisional pole at the moment, and the only driver in the 1 minute 25s just now.
Absolutely, this is more the lap time we're expecting to see. Maybe we might even see the low 25s from Blizzard, Poe, Spike, Squeezy, et al. As they head towards the end of the session. Lambo then still hasn't set a representative lap time. Only 9 drivers have. Obviously we've got Francis, Legort and Litinho. They are not going to be setting a lap time during this session. And LMFC has finally emerged from the pit lane on a set of medium tyres, so we'll have to keep an eye on how he does around the track. Ollie as well hasn't been able to set a lap time. This is his 3rd time out on track, and this is where he runs wide on the exit of turn 9. Twice he's invalidated his lap time there, and twice he's had to back off, so he's got to be careful. It's so easy to invalidate your lap time around here. There's so many places. Turn 9 especially, you run too wide there, that's your lap time gone. But Ollie will be hoping now that he can finally get a lap time on the board.
Definitely so, and it's obviously something we see a lot week on week now because of the way the tracks are with the runoff areas. Squeezy improves up to P3, but he's still half a second down on Blizzard, so he'll be bit happier with that lap. But yeah, with the way the tracks are, obviously safety's an important thing, and I've got no issue with that. But it certainly means that obviously you can push the limits much more. But it does mean obviously with it being track limits, and they are set to strict as well. It's very easy to get multiple warnings pretty quickly. I think in the league race, the Cup event last night, I think we seen one of the drivers, I think it was one of the Reynolds from IRL team, and we ended up with a 3-second penalty before the end of lap 1. Ended up with that many warnings on his first lap as Steph locks up going into the loop section there. He's now out on a set of medium tyres and running very wide, so he's trying to stay out of the way of somebody. Sean's on track at the moment as well. He's just coming up through Woodcote curve across the old start-finish straight. Obviously, back in the 70s, that used to be a quick chicane as well. So, you know, the old layout was just as quick despite that too. So many different layouts to this place. Ollie on his lap, he's coming through Maggots and Beckett's right now and just coming up to the Chapel, around about 120 on the exit there. DRS right at the edge of Chapel curve, go under the bridge. This is obviously where Mansell passed PK back in 1987, just gave him the double dummy in the road of the crowd was hearable, leaving over the tones of Murray Walker. Through Stowe Corner, a lot easier now than it used to be, but it's still a tricky corner and it's best right, and then the club chicane down to 60 miles an hour. Ollie keeps it in third gear. He obviously wants to limit the wheel spin as much as possible. He heads for the line through the corner with no name, and he moves up to third place, so it's took him a bit of time, but he's finally managed to get himself a decent lap time, and that's pretty good there from the Red Bull driver to get into P3. We'll see there if anyone can beat that in the final minute.
Absolutely, that's why all the cars are out there right now, ready to set a lap time. LMFC on a set of medium tyres, as he was on a flying lap, but now he's abandoned it and decided that he's going to go for one run on those medium tyres. That is Steph right behind as he makes his way through on those medium tyres. Hasn't set a faster lap time than the lap time he set on those hard tyres. He's got one more chance to do so as he makes his way across the line. Watch out for Blaster as well. Let's see what he can do out there. Lambo as well hasn't set a lap time yet. He risks starting from so low down the field. Down here in 15th place. Blizzard making his way along the Wellington Straight. We've got Poe as well making his way down the Hangar Straight. So as he makes his way towards Cops, who else is out on a lap there? Ollie also on a lap. Someone's hit the wall. It's Squeezy. Squeezy's hit the wall and hit it hard. He's out of the session. And that is coming down the Wellington Straight. So not entirely sure how he lost the car. It is the Hangar Straight. Yeah, you're right.
That's an interesting one to lose it there. So that's halfway down the straight. You must have lost it. Just let the wheels up or something. I don't know. It's a strange one, that one, to lose it so much. And the checkered flag has failed. Blizzard's still at the top there. Then I think Spike might be the last one to cross the line. I'm not too sure. Lambo's retired from the session, so after winning last time out, he's only going to be P15 here at Silverstone with the likes of Gordon Francis. Here comes Plaster through the club chicane and up through at the corner with no name, the final corner. Can he get up and make a representative lap time on the board? He does. He goes into 11th place, so finally moves up the order. Here comes Steffi. You think he's the next one to cross the line in the Mercedes, currently in the top 10, so unless LMFC can knock him out, that's going to be the time for him. And it's the hard tyres he set on, but he finally improves on the mediums. He'll probably be quite chuffed with that one, I would imagine. Alan Kay's going to be heading for the line before long. Where is Spike? He's just coming round the corner now, and he improves into P3, so that's a good lap time from Spike. The last one to cross the line is going to be Alan Kay. LMFC jumped up to 9th place. Can Alan pop Steph out of the top 10? The game cuts away. It still says P11 on the dash, so I don't think he's done it. He's not, and Alan Kay is going to start outside the top 10. But Blizzard, championship leader, 4 times a winner this season, and he's got pole position once again.
Yeah, the perfect way to try and extend your championship lead, starting from the very front, but that's really only a quarter of the story. Blizzard then on pole position, Poe missing out by just over 1.5 tenths of a second. Spike in 3rd place, Ollie in 4th, Squeezy 5th, Dave M in 6th, Sean in 7th, Maze in 8th, LMFC in 9th on a set of medium tyres, as is Steph on medium tyres, so watch out for them during the race. Alan Kay in 11th, Blaster in 12th, Francis with a qualifying ban actually starts P13, the Gort never set a time, Lambo never set a time, and Litinho also had a qualifying ban. So we have an interesting race coming up, And Blizzard starting on pole position with Spike all the way up to P3, so an improvement from last time out. I wonder, will we have another different winner this season? How do you rate Spike's chances? He seemed to find a little bit of form in qualifying last time out.
Definitely. I mean, we know he's a quick driver. He's had some unlucky moments during certain races. So he's definitely got every chance if he can, like every Grand Prix, the first thing you want to do is avoid trouble at the start. Keep your nose clean, don't get any damage. Keep as many places as you can, of course. So you can do that and then stick a lot. If you're not in the lead, stick with that lead group. Then you're putting yourself in a good place. But as you say, obviously, Steph and LMFC into the top 10 on the medium tyres, and we've seen LMFC. I think it was last season, if I remember correctly, at Suzuka, had an absolutely stonking race when he'd done the alternate strategy, going with a harder compound and then onto the softer one. So keep an eye out for him. He could have a very good race round here tonight. Let's see what the outside the top 10 are doing. So Alan Kay has gone for the medium tyres. Plaster's gone for the soft tyres. Francis and Gregor go for medium Lambo on the soft. And Litinho has gone for those blue hard tyres. I think that's going to be a bit of a mistake because, as we've mentioned a few times, it's very hard to get those tyres up to temperature during the race. But if he thinks he can make it work, then I will doff my hat if he does so. The only way he's going to make that work is if he can stick with people and get it as far into the race as possible so he can put the softs on. Possibly somewhere around about maybe lap 18, lap 19. If he can do that, then he could be on for some points. But Blizzard at the front where he wants to be, but I'm keeping my eye on LMFC. I know he can be quick, and being on those medium tyres later on in the race, once the strategies come into effect, he could be one to watch for getting some really good points, possibly even a podium if some of these guys ahead trip over each other and cost themselves time.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't believe LMFC has scored any points this season, so this will be a fantastic chance for him to do so and put some points on the board for Force India as well. They are top of the constructors table, but as you say, Andy, he is one to watch. He wants some points, he wants them badly as well, and starting P9 he gives himself every opportunity to do so. Francis, Lambo and Litinho, you could say, are starting out of position. The Gort as well, as we saw yesterday, was struggling. Maybe he can find some form as Plaster and Alan there. Surprised to see Plaster on some soft tyres. He normally favours the alternate strategy, as he once told me. He once beat me in a race for using an alternate strategy. So that was pretty annoying, but surprised to see him go on some soft tyres. But obviously with the clouds up above, the track temperature might be down a little bit, so maybe going for the softer tyre to begin with might be the strategy to call. But that's why we're in the commentary box, Andy, and not out on track.
Definitely, so it's definitely why I'm up here for sure. But this is going to be fun. TTL F1, Weak Wi-Fi Solutions, A logo, all the usual. It's just going to be brilliant. I'll let you do it properly because you do it a lot better than me, but we're getting ready for the start there. It's going to be a fantastic race.
Well, as Andy was saying, TTL F1 is brought to you by weakwifi-solutions.com. It's also brought to you by A Logo. Who will get the Weak Wi-Fi Solutions Driver of the Day, and who will get the A Logo Fastest Lap Award of the day? We are moments away from the British Grand Prix live on TTTV. As we wait for those red lights to go on now, on board with Blizzard at the moment. And here we go then for the 5 red lights here at the British Grand Prix. Round 10 is underway, and what are the starts like? It looks like it's going to be a melee down to turn 1, but Blizzard's got a great start then as he shoots into turn 1. Have a look at the cars right behind them though, because it looks like everybody's just about kept it out of each other right now as we head down towards the first real braking zone of turn 3 there. Watch LMFC there, taken to the outside of the track to try and defend his position. He's still holding on to 9th place right now, and as you can see, Lambo up to P11 right now as he's battling with his teammate as the drivers now head all the way down the Wellington Straight. Blizzard still leads from Poe, and that's Ollie and Spike battling away as we head towards Luffield there. Spike trying to hold the inside line going through Luffield. He might get a little bit less traction than Ollie does, but they're going to be side by side as they go through Woodcote, and we head towards the old turn 1, the new turn 9 of Cops Corner. You can see their Spike going up the inside there. He backs out of it though, and Ollie swoops round the outside to take P3 away. Clean start so far then. LMFC holding on to 9th place, and that's Lambo there up to 10th place, but he's under pressure from Steph then as we head towards Maggots for the first time, but he has to back out of it. As I said, it's really one by one through those set of corners. You really don't want to be side by side through there, and Steph realised that, backed out of the move though. Litinho has gained a place from the start then on those hard tyres. Alan Kay's dropped all the way down to P16, so it's not a great start for him. And Francis there up to P6 now as he's battling away with Sean as he makes his way down towards Vale and Club Corner. And then through the corner with No Name at the end of lap number 1. Blizzard is your leader with Poe in 2nd, Ollie 3rd, Spike 4th, Squeezy 5th, Francis in 6th, Sean in 7th, Maze 8th, LMFC 9th, Lambo 10th, Steph in 11th, Dave M 12th, Plaster 13th, Gort 14th, Litinho 15th, Alan K 16th. All cars facing the right way, no incidents at the start.
Yeah, brilliant start from Francis, up 7 places. Lambo's up 5 places as well. He's getting dicey into Cops, nearly went side by side with LMFC, and he's now actually got the place ahead of the Force India before they head down the Wellington Straight. But that Force India's right in the slipstream. If he was any closer, he'd be pushing them all the way down the straight. Can he get the move done into Brooklands? Lambo takes the wide line. You can do that though. He's now going to have the inside line for Luffield. LMFC is going to try and go a long way around there. Steph sitting in the background as well. Dave has had a poor start though. He's down 6 places. Don't know what happened to him, but I did see him getting side by side into Cops with Plaster pushed the Ferrari a little bit wide. Alan Kay down 5 places as well, so not a good start there. Blizzard's already out of DRS. It's not enabled until the end of this lap onto lap 3, but he's already out of range from Poe, who's out of range from Ollie, but Spike's not too far behind, so it's going to settling down a little bit, but there's still plenty of action through the field. LNFC's dropped off Lambo just a little bit here. In fact, here goes Lambo down the Hangar Straight. He's got a better run on Maze heading towards Stowe Corner, and the Renault, I think he gave that place up, knew where to fight his battles there, does Maze normally, and Lambo up into 8th place, making 7 places up, just like Francis has ahead. And Ollie needs to be careful because he's getting a bit of a train behind him now as they go on to lap 3 with DRS enabled. Ollie's got Spike, Squeezy, Francis, Sean, and before long he's going to have Lambo sticking onto the back of him as well, so Ollie needs to be very careful. He could get swallowed up before long.
Absolutely. Well, just before you think Blizzard might be going away with this one, call back a name of Darren Sinclair. Used to race in this league, of course, and he lost it going through, I believe it was Cops Corner. So he was leading the race all on his own and lost the car after he'd pitted in very early on to try and change the tyres. Yeah, as well. So Baku, as Andy says, yeah, that's why it's not over till it's over. As you see there, Squeezy right on the tail of Spike as well. Francis also looking to try and get involved. So it looks like it's a 4-car battle for 3rd place there. And did I just see some rain? Is this going to spice the race up a little bit?
We were told it was only going to be cloudy. Surely not, but that could really be interesting if it does before long.
It is, it's raining. Yeah, it's raining, yes. Andy. Yeah, I can see some rain droplets on the halo. So all those starting on the medium and the hard tyres might have just played their cards right here. Here comes Francis then, side by side with Squeezy. He's going to try and go round the outside here of Stowe Corner, but he can't find the grip out there. As obviously as the track gets damp, there will be less and less grip out there. Braking distances will increase. It's all a case of who's going to blink first. And for Blizzard here, who was trying to get away, 1.6 seconds, this might have just turned into a little bit more of a difficult race than he would have liked. But as you can see here, the rain is just light for now. Won't be enough to change over to intermediates just yet. But I can guarantee those drivers will be asking Jeff over the radio, what's the rain going to be like? How long is it going to be like this? And is there going to be a dry period at any point after it?
Definitely so, and this could really make things interesting. If it does rain though, Litinho starting on those hard tyres, that's the absolute last thing that he needed. He needed a dry race so he could run them as long as he possibly could, and wet weather is probably not what he wanted. But then again, if he can time the pit stop right, if it does start getting really damp, it might actually play to his advantage. It just shows you what can happen. I'm currently watching Steph and Dave having a bit of a ding-dong over 11th place. They're not even in the points yet, and they're just battling away through Hangar up through Cops Corner, come towards Cops Corner now, but they're having a battle all the way back through the whole of this lap there. But up front, Blizzard is still out of DRS range. Up front, Poe is away from Ollie, and Ollie trying to keep this train of cars behind. Spike Squeezy's got a heck of a run though, but Spike's got the DRS to go with it as well. Will anybody have a go? Ollie's having to go defensive into Stowe. Will Spike try and go the long way round? He's going to try to, but if Red Bull just pushes him a little bit wide, they both go off the track. Squeezy's going to try and go round the outside through the club chicane. Can he get it done round the outside? He's got the move done. That's a lovely move there from the McLaren driver. He's moved himself up into 4th place, but Spike will be trying to get that one back. Here they go up towards Abbey Curve. There's no way you're going to try and make a move through there, and he's going to have to be careful because here's Francis looking all over the back of the Sauber after a great start on the medium tyres for the Mercedes driver there. He's now got the inside line coming through the loop section. They're side by side heading down towards the Wellington Straight, and the Mercedes is through and up into 5th place. So Spike, in the matter of about one sector of the track, has lost 2 places, but he's going to try and fight back at the moment. He's looking to the outside, but he's going to have to back out, and those are definite raindrops coming now. It's just a case of, will it get wet enough, or is it just going to be that annoying little middle ground where it's just slightly greasy but it's nowhere near enough for intermediates? It's just making this a really interesting race. Don't go anywhere because this is going to get fun.
Absolutely. Ollie runs a little bit wide on the exit of Stowe. Here comes Squeezy, just having a look around the outside as we head through Maggots for the 5th time in this race, and then coming through Beckett's, then through Chapel. As Squeezy got the move done, I said you couldn't go side by side through there. Absolutely fantastic racing. Squeezy moves up to P3, but Ollie will be right behind him. Of course, Squeezy will have the DRS as they head down the hangar straight. That was a fantastic move there from Squeezy. Up to 3rd place he goes as LMFC here makes a move on Sean going down the inside. Sean's going to go for the cutback though, and look how much more grip he had going through the corner and going through Stowe corner there. As will the Force India be able to hold on as Ollie's dropped down to 6th place now. He's been passed as Dave M makes his way past Mays there. LMFC has got past Sean once again. Battling happening all over the field. I'm not entirely sure where to look. Here comes Ollie again down the inside of Spike then, just about leaving each other enough room then as he heads through the loop of turn 4 and then through no name of turn 5. Spike just about holding the inside line as Ollie there gets a little tap of the wheel, a little bit of a love tap there as they head down the Wellington Straight. You can see he's got the DRS, but it's not actually helping him a lot here. So you can see there's Spike running a little bit of a more aggressive setup, especially on the straights there, as Spike's not willing to open the door one bit for Ollie. Ollie makes sure that the door gets forced open there and takes that position back for P5 there. He was off the track. So a little bit of battling there, hard battling, but Ollie finds his way back through, going through turn 9, runs slightly wide, but this has invited the pressure from Lambo here, who starting from I believe it was 15th place, has now managed to claw his way back up to 7th place on those soft tyres as well. We'll be looking to try and cause some trouble with these guys.
Definitely so. Ollie was off the track with that pass, but I'm sure he'll say that Spike didn't give him any room and he had to do it, but we'll leave that one for after the race. The reason Ollie dropped down a few places getting passed by Francis and Spike originally was Francis went the outside where they are now through the club chicane, and then I think just due to the bit of wet track and the curbing, it just pushed them both wide. Ollie went right off the track, Spike sneaked up the inside, but that move from Squeezy all the way through Maggots and Beckett's, it was good driving from both Squeezy and Ollie as well, but that was a la Hamilton back in GP2. I think it was 2006 I think it was, through there. He was passing cars left, right and centre. It was an absolutely beautiful move there, and it shows you, we know he's a good driver. He can make these moves, and when he does that, he's one of the top drivers in this league. So he's currently in 3rd place at the moment, trying to chase down Poe, who's obviously one of his championship protagonists, but Blizzard has got nearly 3 seconds over the lead at the moment. Francis though having a brilliant race. He is up 9 places from his starting position. Lambo up 8 places as well. He's down in 7th still, but he's made up 8 places, so good starts from those two guys there, and we've got passing and moves going all the way through. In this battle between Ollie, Spike and now Lambo on the back of it is not over yet. It's to come through Cops Corner. We're on lap 7 to 26, so there's still a long way to go. The rain is still drizzling down ever so slightly. And can Lambo get a run? Last lap round he looked a bit quicker through the Maggots and Beckett section, so can he get a run down the hangar straight? Obviously Spike's got the DRS as well because he's close enough to Ollie, but Lambo's right in the slipstream. He's going to have a think about it. No, he'll have to back out for the meantime, but he's got the soft tyres on, so there's no tyre advantage here for either of them. If anyone's got an advantage, it'll be Lambo, just because it was a fresh set rather than the set that he qualified on, so he's only got a couple of laps benefit there. This is going to go on for a wee while, and will this rain just continue to just drizzle down, or will it start to throw it down at some point? Mays is the first one to come into pit lane in the Renault from P12.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of Mays here thinking that the rain is going to stay like this, so no need for those intermediate tyres. So I think all of the drivers here will be trying to make these tyres last as long as they possibly can, in an attempt to say, well, if it rains harder than this, then we'll come in. But they want to make those tyres last as long as possible, so expect some drivers to actually back off and try and conserve their tyres, just in case they need to pit in for a fresh set of inters, rather than having to make an extra stop for another set of dry tyres. It's really, really... well, it's going to be a challenge, that's for sure. And this battle between Ollie, Spike and Lambo will be helping their tyre wear no way, as Ollie makes his way through maggots for the 8th time.
Yeah, and that was Mays just out of pit lane, and he's put the hard tyres on, which we rain followed. I'm puzzled by that, but everyone to himself, as you say. I've just seen Plaster under DRS make a nice move on the Gort down into Brooklands, but the Gort's got the speed coming up through Maggots and Beckett's now. This is over 13th place, down towards the back of the field. Plaster qualified just outside the top 10. The Gort dropped out of qualifying right before the start. He didn't even have a qualifying ban as far as I'm aware, but here he goes. He's got the DRS coming down the hanger straight, goes to the inside line. He should be able to get that move done on the Ferrari pretty well, and he has done. So he's moved up Ollie into pit lane in the Red Bull, so we'll keep an eye and see what tyres he goes on to. It looks like they've got the medium tyres, the white wall tyres out. They do indeed. So Ollie, the first of the sort of front runners to come into pit lane. That's going to release Spike and Lambo, but of course Lambo's still in the back of Spike. Spike's still got the attention of him, so he needs to keep an eye on that. Francis has managed to pull away from them, so he's got a bit of a gap now as he tries to close to Squeezy. Squeezy is nearly within DRS range now of Poe, so the McLaren is enjoying these slippery conditions much better than the Haas at the moment, and he's reeled in a 2.5 second gap within a couple of laps here, so that McLaren's looking pretty decent. Not only can he make overtaking moves that are absolutely out of this world, but he's also pretty quick and consistent on a greasy track, so he's going to be within DRS range before long. Maybe Poe might decide to come into the pits to avoid that battle and maybe try and see if he can get the undercut. But Blizzard's lead now is up to 3.3 seconds.
Now just having a look at the sky there does seem to be a little bit of a blue sky, and the rain hasn't got any heavier. So I'm wondering if some of the drivers are just thinking, well, we might as well take the risk of dry tyres. Here comes Lambo then trying to go up the inside of Spike here as we head through Stoke Corner. And look at that. You can see how much more grip there is on the outside of the track as that Lambo there tries to find a way around the outside, heading through into Vale and then coming through the club corner section. Then through the last corner, No Name. Lambo still is behind Spike then as they head on to their 10th lap of the race. Dave M is into the pits then, and Plaster still trying to battle away with the Gort then, as they're still staying out on track, as it's really hard to tell, but I think the rain is stayed at the same intensity here. And as you were saying, Poe here now having to try and defend from Squeezy. Yeah, here they come down the hanger straight, or sorry, the Wellington straight, and Squeezy has the move done. A little bit of an easier move then. I wonder if Poe's car is set up for the dry, so that's why he might be struggling. The gap to the leader for Squeezy, 4.1 seconds. It'll be interesting to see if that gap falls or it rises, because Blizzard here might just be conserving his tyres with that 4-second gap. It is going to be very difficult for the drivers to judge when's the best time to pit. They'll be asking Jeff over the radio, when is the best time to pit? How are these tyres going to last? And is it the right time for intermediates? Well, I can safely say that apart from a couple of water droplets on the car, as you can see, it is not time yet. You can see how much grip they still have coming through Maggots and Beckett's. That's a surefire sign that it is still time for the dry tyres. As Lambo, getting a little bit squirrely there, coming out of the Chapel corner there. That was very, very close there, but he managed to keep a hold of the car and keep it facing the right way, only losing a couple of tenths then as Spike comes in. So Spike has committed then to going on to another set of dry tyres then, surely. But he's into the pit lane now.
Got to be. Lambo there, he's just like very lucky to get just ran wide. But one thing I'm noticing there is they're going through Maggots and Beckett's. The speed is normally around about 125, 130 miles an hour through there as Sean comes into the pits as well. And Lambo was down to around about 110 before he done that. So I'm just wondering if the track's just getting a little bit greasy through that section there, making it a little bit trickier for the drivers to hold on to the car. Poe is trying to keep up with Squeezy. He needs to do that because Francis is only 2.5 seconds back and looking pretty comfortable in that Mercedes at the moment. Spike's going on to a set of medium tyres, as has Sean. Plaster's in the pits as well. He's now onto a set of mediums also. So it's definitely not wet enough yet. It's that annoying British drizzle that you get. It's enough that if you're outside it would soak you to the bone, but it's still not enough to make the track absolutely soaked through for wet tyres. So they're going to have to go by, and certainly these guys up front on the soft tyres, they're definitely trying to make this last as long as they possibly can, when normally I would imagine they've probably been in the pits by now to get rid of them. So they're just trying to extend it and thinking if it does rain more, as you say, Kieran, they only want to make the one pit stop, put intermediates on. But I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're going to have to see dry tyres, yet Squeezy and Poe and Blizzard are all in pit lane now. Poe nearly into the back of Squeezy as he really attacked that pit limiter line. That puts Francis into the lead of this race. He's on the medium tyres, so he's now in a prime position if the rain does fall, because he can run at least another, I'd say, 4 laps or so at least. And if the rain started falling and it meant intermediates, most of these drivers are going to have to come back in again if that happens. But if it is going to do that, I think we're going to see that in the last, maybe even the last 3 or 4 laps, and then we're going to see gambles. Who comes in to put the right tyres on and who decides to chance it? If that happens, that's going to be interesting for sure.
Absolutely. So we've got Francis, Steph and Litinho all starting on a sort of alternate strategy, occupying those top 4 spots. Remember, Litinho started on these blue wall hard tyres, and Andy and I were giving a hard time on the formation lap, but he could spare his blushes here and make us look like fools if he can make this strategy work. And we've got a whole host of battling here further down as Alan Kay, I think he did a little bit of off-roading there, as he's now down to 10th. Lambo and Spike here battling away for positions down the Wellington straight, and you can see there Spike has got the run on him. Still DRS is enabled, so the track officials here think it's still dry enough for the DRS to be used. You can see how much understeer Spike was getting as he went through Brooklands, now coming through Luffield. Seems to be a good amount of grip coming out of Luffield, so that's always good to see. No tyres rear spinning up, and here you can see Spike getting past Alan Kay quite easily there. Teammates, I don't think that was a move Alan Kay made too difficult, and I don't think this is a move he's going to make too difficult for Lambo then, as he heads through Maggots for the 30th time. Now coming through Beckett and then through Chapel Curve. As you can see then, Addy, still DRS is enabled. So that's good news for Lambo. That's good news for Poe trying to chase down Squeezy. It's good news for Litinho as he closes in on Steph. And it's also good news for Sean as he tries to battle away with Dave M coming down the Hanger Straight.
Definitely so, and that's usually your best indication as well for us here. We're not in the cars, we don't know how greasy it is out there. So for us, the best indicator, apart from everybody flying in the pits, is if the virtual Charlie lighting goes DRS disabled. That's usually the best example for us to see. Francis out in the lead now. I'm trying to figure out here, because that pit lane has been so long, I'm trying to figure out where he's likely to drop back out. I think at the moment he would drop back out ahead of the GOAT. Well, it'll be Ollie now. We've got a yellow flag in
the GOAT.
1 actually.
It's the GOAT who's around. He might have fallen victim to the wet conditions. That looks like it's coming onto the Wellington straight, and it is, so he might have just dropped it on turn 5 there. So that is easy position sends for Dave M and Sean as they move up to 12th and 13th. And that looks like Sean trying to have a look up the inside of Dave M there. As you can see, I think this track is getting a little bit too greasy for the drivers Viking, especially those on the harder tyres that have been on the car for at least 12 laps, 13 laps. They're going to find a lot less grip out there. But we'll see how this goes then, as it's taken around about 250 through the Cops corner, and normally seeing around 270, 280. So the track is getting a little bit worse, but not enough for all these intermediate conditions.
No, definitely not yet. And the longer the more this rain comes down, those at the top four are in prime position for this race. Blizzard setting the fastest lap of the race there on the last lap, 129.7. There is no one within 129s. The closest to that is Squeezy and Poe, who are 1 minute 30.140 and 141. That's how close those two are when it comes to fastest laps. So, but I think at the moment, if Francis was to pit, he would come out behind Poe, but ahead of this battle between Ollie, Lambo, and Spike. That's where I expect him to go, as Blizzard has moved up to P3. He's just jumped ahead of Steph and Lightinio there in one shot. I just jumped it as I seen him going through. He was behind him a second ago and he's jumped the two of them in one shot. That's incredible. I don't even know what happened, but blooming heck.
Absolutely, and that just says a lot about these track conditions. It's not wet enough, because on those medium tyres, Blizzard is still able to set the fastest lap of the race. So it just shows you that there is grip out there. There is grip out there to find. And these intermediates may not even be used at all, as we're over halfway distance. As you can see there, Lightinho battling away with Steph. He will have the DRS, as will Steph, as they make their way down the hanger straight towards Cops, towards Stowe, and then through to Cops. As you can see there, Lightinho and Steph. Oh, Steph with that front wing. Little too close for my liking to that McLaren, but he kept it clean. And Lightinho has the position. Steph has to watch out. As you can see the back end wanting to step out on Steph there, as Blizzard makes his way through your picture. Then two McLarens go through. Squeezy's now up to 5th place as he makes his way past a struggling Steph. And now there goes Poe as well. They're all on new tyres then, the two McLarens. So, sorry, the McLaren and the Haas of Squeezy and Poe. So they're on fresher tyres, and that shows out there.
Fresher tyres are definitely the right scenario at the moment with a slightly greasy track. It's obviously keeping the temperatures in them. Those, like there you see Steph, 14 lap old mediums. It's actually about 17 laps he's been on them, because he would have done at least one flying lap and a qualifying in and out lap there as well, because he qualified in the top 10. So those tyres have probably fallen off the cliff in terms of temperature at the moment. Lambo and Spike are still fighting, going side by side through Brooklands. Spike's now got the inside line for Luffield, and these two are continuing on. Poe has managed to get himself ahead of Squeezy before Cops Corner, and Squeezy doesn't look too troubled. In fact, no, it was Lightinio, sorry, it was just another McLaren getting through, so it's getting mixed up between the two of them. Back to Spike and Lambo though, and Lambo's still behind. Alan Kay's behind this. Lambo running very wide there. He did pick up a 3-second penalty for warnings on the last lap, so that's not going to help him at the end of this race. We'll see if he picks up the brand new coveted Andy award for no penalties in a race, so we'll see how that goes. And Poe has got ahead of Squeezy now, so he's passed one McLaren, he's passed two McLarens under DRS into Stowe, and he's now up into 4th place. And after Squeezy reeled him in before the pit stops, Poe's looking a lot more comfortable now. He's got fresh tyres on that Haas, so he's looking good at the moment. LNFC finally into the pits. He's going to put on a set of soft tyres, so keep an eye out for him. I did say that at the start of the race, to keep an eye on him with that alternate strategy. Francis though, still out on track. 15 laps he's been on these medium tyres. He's 18 seconds clear off Blizzard at the moment, and at the moment he's come out ahead of Ollie still. I think he's 33 seconds behind, so that's going to work out pretty nicely for him indeed. Squeezy still having a look at the back of Poe, and I'm not seeing DRS on any of these. Did the DRS get disabled? Because nobody's having DRS. Squeezy was right behind and he didn't have DRS. Lambo's within range and he's not got. He does have DRS open, right? So it was just stunning him there. I was getting confused for a second. Goodness me, that's an easy thing to do, obviously, but I thought we'd missed the sign that said DRS was disabled.
Not just yet, and I'm quite surprised here that the rain hasn't played as much of a role in it as I thought it would. I think the rain has just got heavier, just a tiny bit heavier over these past couple of seconds, as we see Francis now coming into the pits, into the very, very slow pit lane. Poe battling away with Squeezy then, as of course Squeezy might still have that DRS failure. That might be why he can't open it, because he might not even have it at all. Here comes Squeezy then, going around the outside of Poe, having to do it the old-fashioned way with no DRS whatsoever. Great move by Squeezy. Not the first time he's done that this race, but you can see there the back end's not wanting to stay in check. Here comes Poe then. Can he take advantage of that? No, he can't. He backs out before they get to Abbey and then Farm Curve. But another great move from Squeezy, but this battle is far from over.
No, definitely not far from over. It is another fantastic move. So the artificial intelligence aids there for overtaking. Sorry, not artificial intelligence. What the heck am I talking about? Squeezy doing it the old-fashioned way, the old way, a long way around Club Corner. He does get it. Francis back out on soft tyres. He's right behind Steph, and he's dropped in exactly where I thought he would do, a heady ollie. So he's in 6th place, as I expected. Spike has managed to shake off Lambo, who's dropped about 1.7 down. So the drivers now, with the wet conditions, are just having to play it a wee bit more careful than they normally would do. And Poe is trying to get back. Squeezy's got back past Poe, obviously, as we've seen with that fantastic move. So Poe's going to have to try and do it one more time. Francis, though, is right behind Steph. Steph is still not to pit yet. Litinho and Steph are the only two not to have pitted yet, and Steph has been passed before they get into Maggots and Beckett's. Francis just got so much more grip with those yellow marked soft tyres, flies round the outside, and he is through and up into 5th place. This has been a very good race for him despite that qualifying ban. It's not happening. LNFC's left this session. Oh no, he's off the track at the moment, so something's happened there. Possibly his internet connection. If he can get back in the lobby, he'll be able to regain control, but that's not what he needed, because he could have been on for a decent points haul there if he had kept going. Litinho's in the pits. Steph finally pits. He calls it quits on those medium tyres. So Blizzard leads, and he's still got around about a 3-second gap, which is over Squeezy, who's still got the attentions of Poe in 3rd. But watch out for Francis. He might be 7 seconds down. As long as this rain doesn't get any worse than it is, he could close up, because he's got the better, grippier tyres, and he's got 5 laps younger tyres to go with it as well against those ahead. So he's still on for a podium before the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely, especially in those slippery conditions. Anything can happen, and it so always does. I guarantee you now that the hard tyres and all the medium tyre runners have pitted, losing their advantage if the intermediates do come into play. What's the betting that the intermediate tyres are going to be used in the next lap? As Poe picks up a 3-second time penalty. I believe it's something we call Sod's Law. But Poe then making his way through Maggots, then through Beckett for the 18th time. Oh, that's a huge amount of understeer there. This rain is getting worse out there. The track is getting worse. And there's certain parts of the track here where it's getting a little bit too greasy for those slick tyres. And these drivers will hopefully know their karting lines to stick to the outside of the track wherever possible to get the best amount of grip through the corners. But obviously no one blinking to go onto these intermediate tyres. There will be a point, Andy, with, I believe this is now it's 6 laps to go, or am I reading that? No, it's 8 laps to go. Whatever it is,
7, 8, however, doesn't matter.
I can't count, we know that, but there will be a certain point, Andy, where the DRS might be disabled and the drivers will think, well, actually no, that you'll lose more time pitting in for intermediates than you will do staying out on slicks.
Definitely, this is where it's the old song. You got to know when. Poe's on off. The grass. He's taking the DRS signs, managed to control it. Oh, lucky for him, keeps a control of that, but that's going to allow Squeezy a chance to just pull ahead, and that's a shame because that was the closest battle on track at the moment. Plaster's coming up behind LNFC's car, but that is ghosting at the moment. LNFC out of the session. I just caught something in the PSN chat. It says the Red Bull caught his wing, and the only Red Bull in the race is Ollie, so that's an interesting one. We'll need to wait and see how that one works out later, but Poe caught it. But yeah, the old song, you got to know when to hold them, you got to know when to fold them, and this is exactly what this point is now, because if this rain keeps coming and it does get too greasy, if it does get to the point where intermediates could be just to go on, because it's so close to the end of the race, do you take the chance in the pit stop to have the right time and hope you can make the time back up by going absolutely flat out, or do you take the chance and staying out on the dry tyres and hoping you can keep enough temperature to keep the car pointing in the right direction and not fall off the track with so many little laps to go? Whoever can get that right, if it does happen, will be in a good position to pick up a load of points here before the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot. The rain is heavier than it was when it started, that's for sure. We're going right on board with Lighting. You can see how careful the drivers are being now through Maggots and Beckett's. It's definitely getting damp there, but the DRS is still open. The surefire way, we know that it's still dry enough as Lightinho comes down towards Stowe corner, and again taking this quite slowly, looking for the grip out there, being patient on the throttle as Leitinho here trying to go around the outside as we head towards Vale, which will then become the inside for club corner, and the Williams there of Sean just about leaving enough room as we head through No Name. There's a little bit of a tap there, and the Williams is around. Is he? Yes, he is. A little bit of a tap there from the McLaren as Sean finds himself all the way around along the start finish straight, and trying to spin your wheels up like Sebastian Vettel in these conditions just means you're going to go around for another half donut there. A little bit of a tap from Leitinho sent Sean into that half spin, and then the tap from the rear tyre sent him into the full spin. So interesting to see if that makes it to the stewards. But Leitinho in 9th, and Sean goes down to 11th.
Yeah, no, unfortunately I had a poor camera angle shot for that, so all I seen was the car spinning round. I don't quite see how it happened, so we'll need to wait and see later on if that does end up in the stewards. It's one of those bits, Leitinho trying to repeat what Squeezy did. Unfortunately, it came off for worse circumstances in the end of that one. It does put Sean down to 7th place. I'll say one thing though, although some of these drivers might be tiptoeing it in certain areas now, I was on board with Francis on those soft tyres going through Abbey. Absolutely flat out still, so he's still finding grip out there. But when you ride on board, you can start to notice that the racing line has still got that bit of grey to it, but the outside of the racing line is a lot darker in front. Oh, that was a bit of lag there from Francis.
We're creating our own drama here.
Ooh, that would give me a heart attack nearly. But you can notice if you go on board, you notice the racing line has still got that bit of grey to it, that lighter grey. The outside is a lot darker than it was before, and it's now that point. Yes, the karting line can help you, but it can also hinder you when you're on the slicks, and that's where you want to try to get the train lines of that dry line as much as you can. Francis is really pushing it, but he did go through Abbey last time round, absolutely pinned to the floor in 7th gear, so he is still finding some grip in that car. He was 7 seconds down on Poe and Squeezy. He's got it down to 4 seconds, but he's not closing quick enough at the moment, so if Poe can keep it moving, he might just be out of reach at the moment. We'll keep an eye on that gap. Always in a bit of no man's land. He's 4 seconds behind, sorry, 8 seconds behind Francis. Spike has dropped 2.5 seconds behind him. Lambo's dropped 7 seconds back, so he's really struggling in these conditions in the Toro Rosso. His teammate Dave M for tonight is about 8 seconds down on him, and there's quite a few gaps developing now. The closest one on track is Poe to Squeezy, but even that is 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. The field's spreading out there and just trying to make it to the end of the race. Kind of reminds me of Belgium, the end of that race in, I believe it was 2008, where Lewis Hamilton and Kimi Raikkonen were battling on those groove tyres at the time, but it was absolutely chucking it down. And Felipe Massa, who was all the way behind, we all know what happened then, the story then, as Felipe Massa eventually went to take on the race win, having been around about 20 seconds back. But it involved Kimi Raikkonen hitting the wall, and quite hard, and handing Lewis Hamilton that battle.
Definitely. So I think that was that not the same race as well that Alonso came into the pits with 3 laps to go and put wet tyres on and just flew back through the field because of how much more grip he had? I'm sure that was the same race. It was one of them at Belgium he did that. I'm sure it was that one in 2008. And that just shows you, if you do pick the right at the exact right time, you can make it work. But you've got to be absolutely spot on. A lap too early or a lap too soon, and it's just going to ruin it. If you're a lap too early, you're going to start burning the intermediates up, and they're just not going to work when the weather and the track is at its wet point for those tyres. Now, if you leave it a lap too soon, well, you could end up in the wall, or you could end up losing 5 seconds because you're having to tiptoe your way around to avoid it ended up in the wall. So it's a very fine line coming up to the end of this race with only a number of laps to go. So it's a tricky one for the drivers, and certainly one that I wouldn't want to be making. Absolutely not. I would probably get it wrong.
Then not going to help him in those tricky conditions.
Yeah, you were jumping a lot there, my friend, sorry.
Oh, that's alright. I'll go again. It's got yellow flags in sectors 2 and 3. We'll have a look and see who that could be out there. It might have been... Yeah, it might have been Steph, because he did take a little bit less speed down the corner, or down the hangar straight than he would have liked. He thought about coming into the pits, but decided against it. And with 4 laps to go, it's all about holding your nerve till the checkered flag now, and it's getting to that cut-off point where drivers will be thinking, you know what, there's never going to be a time for the intermediates. It's to the end on slick tyres.
Definitely so. It is now at that point where I think now you've just got to go for it. Oh, there's Squeezy getting a 3-second penalty. That could come back if Paul goes to stick close enough. I'm actually going to go have a wee look at the penalties real quickly and see who's got what. Francis has got 3 seconds. We've got Litinho with 3 seconds. The Gort's got 3. Dave's got 3 LMFCs, obviously not running at the moment. Francis got 6 seconds actually. Ollie's got himself 3 seconds. Let's see, Squeezy and Poe are the ones I want to look for, considering how close they are. Francis has got 9 seconds worth of penalties, so he needs to be careful. He could lose a lot of places by the end of this race. Poe's got 3 seconds, and Squeezy has only got the 3 seconds as well, so at the moment it's actually going to balance itself out. But obviously if they pick up another few warnings, especially now with the track getting greasy, it could still change. So we always say wait until they cross the line and see where they finish. At the moment, no, for Squeezy, even though he's picked up that 3-second penalty, he's in luck because the man behind him got a 3-second penalty as well. But Francis in 4th place at the moment. I think I counted 9 seconds worth of penalties. That means at the moment he's going to drop down to about 6th place. Ollie and Spike will jump him at the moment, I think, based on that. So although he's had a great race and really pushing it, he's picked himself up quite a few warnings and quite a few penalties to go with it. We've got Plaster down in 13th, trying to get past Maze. Maze is on those blue hard tyres. They've got to feel like absolute ice cubes by about now, with the temperatures dropping and the track temperature getting really greasy. So he's in a lot of trouble, I would say, coming on to this last part. Of those Plasters just about lost it there. And Alan Kay's round.
He's kept out of the wall though.
Oh, he locked it down, done well. Oh, the Gort flying by, nearly smacked him out there as well. Yeah, he just locked it down, just planted his foot on the brake pedal, keeping it out of the wall, so well done there, but it's obviously not what he wanted to do, and if those tyres were starting to feel enough, then they'll be absolutely knackered by now. And we're on to the penultimate lap. Blizzard leads by just over 5 seconds from Squeezy, who's still got pole 1.3 behind. We've got a yellow flag in sector 1. It's disappeared already, so there's someone going pretty slow, possibly Spike going past the ghost of LMFC. I'm not too sure.
Oh, it's Alan Kay. Yeah, it's Alan Kay who was off the track again. Yeah, that's what it was. So I don't know whether he was letting Blizzard past or whoever that was at the top there. It is Blizzard. Or maybe he was just getting out of the way of Blizzard there. That would just trigger that yellow flag. But, well, Blizzard here, we haven't seen a lot of him in this race, and that's probably a good thing. When you're not on the stream, you're probably doing something either really right or really wrong. But Blizzard then making his way through the old turn 1 then. He has hardly put a foot wrong. Pole position, and it looks like he's going to extend his championship lead. Well, I don't know if he wanted an easy race. He definitely didn't get it with these conditions. But I tell you what, with just over a lap to go, he's proven himself once again as Sean here is closing in on Steph in these closing laps now. This is the battle for that last point. Steph on a set of soft tyres as Sean is on a set of mediums, and they'll be at the same amount of percentage as the Gort. Gets a 5-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane. He actually retires in that pit lane, so the Gort has had enough today and decides to take no further part in the race with only 2 laps to go. So he will become our second retirement from the day. Francis is out. Francis is out. Now where on earth has he dropped it then?
He's off at the side. Yes, he's dropped it out his stall. He's on the right hand side. If you jump on board with Lambo as he comes through the store, you'll see him. If you look to the right hand side, out of the corner, if it's still there.
Oh yes, he is.
Mercedes up against the wall. That's what's happened. He's binned it. Probably got on the AstroTurf and he has dropped it out of Stowe corner and into the wall. That must have been a pretty big moment because he's well out of the side of the track. That's well off the racing line, so that must have been a pretty big spin there from the Mercedes driver, and that's such a shame. Despite his penalties he had, it was a good race from him coming up through the field and through the order today, so he'll be disappointed at that. Here goes Sean though to the outside of Steph. This is now for 9th place with Francis dropping out. These two are going to battle themselves all the way to the checkered flag, I feel. Steph able to hold on for now. Sean going very, very wide there through the corner with no name squeeze. He's got another 3-second penalty. That means Poe's now within reach of second place if he can hold on. So it's going to be interesting here for him. But here comes Blizzard down the hanger straight for the last time.
Absolutely coming through Stowe corner. And I don't think he's got a single penalty here as he makes his way towards the final couple of corners now, through club corner of turn 17 and through No Name for the last time. Blizzard here comes round the final corner to win the British Grand Prix. What a drive from Blizzard there. Squeezy's going to come across the line. He finishes in second place on track, but Poe will overtake him on penalties there. Ollie now coming through club corner now.
He's going to drop down as well. Spike's going to get ahead of him. Ollie's got a lot of penalties.
Ollie here comes across the line on track in fourth. Then Spike will come across the line. Will he jump him? Yes, he will. Spike finishes in fourth. It's Ollie fifth. Lambo with that damaged front wing. It'll be interesting to see where he picked up that damage, but he comes around the final corner, just about keeping the car in check. Then he comes across the line in sixth place. Then his teammate Dave M is going to come across the line in seventh. Litinho is going to be shortly behind him, so Dave M crosses the line in seventh, but Litinho will jump him on penalties. So Litinho seventh, Dave M in eighth. Then Steph coming towards the line with Sean right behind him all the way as he makes his way through No Name for the last time to get rid of these track conditions. Steph in ninth and Sean in 10th place then. And Mays, who pitted very early in this race to put on a set of hard tyres, is going to finish just outside the points. And he thought he'd try something different, but not quite working today. Then he will come home in 11th place there, and Plaster will be the last of the runners. He's actually run out of fuel as well. So didn't quite get the fuel target right, but he will come and coast his way across the line and around the final corner to pick up 12th place, finishing on the lead lap. But your winner of the British Grand Prix in very tricky conditions, extending his lead at the championship, it's Blizzard.
Yeah, another good race there from Blizzard. I think if I remember correctly, that's his 5th win of the season, and if that's the case, that means he's won half the races so far this season. There's a reason he's the most decorated TTL F1 driver. He's proved it one more time again, and another brilliant win there. Poe jumping up into second because Squeezy picked up that 3-second penalty on the final lap. It was going through the loop sections where I caught him. I think he just must have run wide through Abbey possibly and caught the outside, and that gave him a 3-second penalty, so he drops to third. But top 3 in the championship, top 3 on the podium one more time. And here we go with the results.
So your unofficial results: Blizzard taking the race win, Poe finishing in second with Squeezy in third, Spike in fourth, Ollie fifth, Lambo in sixth with Litinho in seventh, great drive from him, Dave M in eighth, Steph in ninth, we got Sean in 10th, Mays in 11th, Plaster in 12th, Alan K a lap down, LMFC not finishing due to leaving the session or connection issues, and Francis and the Gort not finishing the session whatsoever. Francis there, it looked like he just made a little bit of a Marcus Ericsson there, lost it around the final corner, heavy impact with the wall on the inside just in front of the pit lane, but he was having a fantastic race, but a mistake like that and it costs you everything. It's exactly what's happened to Francis here today.
Absolutely, and 4 drivers in those conditions with no penalties. Blizzard at the top, no penalties. Who's the other 3? I know Mays and Alan Kay. Alan Kay's been doing that quite a few times as well. The other one with no penalties, I can't remember. There was a 4th one there and I can't remember who it was. It was Spike, that's who it was. So Blizzard, Spike, Alan Kay and Mays, no penalties at all in that race, and considering the greasy conditions that were in this race, that's very well done on those 4 drivers, because that would not have been easy. But Blizzard extending his championship lead, and that is obviously something that he would have been very happy and looking forward to do here. And next week, obviously, moving on to Hockenheim and the Hungaro Ring, and he'll be looking to consolidate that even more as we head into the tail end of this season.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give ourselves a bit of time to recover. We'll give the drivers a bit of time to recover as well. I wonder who is going to win the Weak Wi-Fi Solutions Driver of the Day. I believe A Logo fastest lap went to Blizzard, and he managed to set a fast lap time on the medium tyres whilst the track was damp. So, I mean, what more do you want? You know?
Pole position, fastest lap, race win, Grand Slam, job done.
Absolutely. And next week will be the German Grand Prix and the Hungarian Grand Prix. But Andy, neither of us might be here.
No, you're doing something very exciting, which I'm annoyed at because I wanted to do as well, but that's something different, not to do with TTT, so we'll ignore that. And I am annoyingly on the back shift. I'm working all the way up till 9 o'clock all week, which I am absolutely ticked off at, because it means I can't do a single commentary during the week, either here at TTTV or on my own channel, so I'm quite annoyed at that. So, yeah, where at the moment it looks like there might not be a stream. Well, I've been looking for a commentator, remember though, for TTL F2 on Sunday nights. If you are interested, drop a message to the TTGaming Twitter page and TTL F1 Twitter page as well, and maybe you could be doing what we do. But at the moment, there's a possibility there might not be streams next week due to other circumstances, real life getting in the way for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, follow TTL F1 on Twitter. The handle is exactly as you heard it. And you'll see all the full updates there. And if there isn't a stream, you'll have all the results there in front of you around about this time on Tuesday and Thursday. Don't forget, though, I'm sure we'll have the advert from Steph in Commentator's Corner because it is a Thursday night. TTFL will be tomorrow night on this very channel, 8 p.m. And also you've got TTL F2, the Austrian Grand Prix and the British Grand Prix, exactly the same calendar as the TTL F1 series, but just two 25% races on the same night. Well, Andy, we're going to go over to Commentator's Corner right now. That's it for this part of the stream. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel below. Make sure you hit the bell so you know when we're going live for Commentator's Corner and any other stream for the racing series on this channel. From Andy and myself, we will see you at Commentator's Corner. Don't go away.